We are lighting it up with that fire sign energy today on the Nora Madonna Show. We're talking about fire sign energy in the zodiac, and I do a little reading for you about the current energies in the cosmic sphere of existence where we are stuck in. We're stuck here, so we might as well know about it, know what we're doing, and figure it out and try to get something done. And today, I do a reading for you, and I figure out the answer to all of our questions of how to resolve our strange situation that we find ourselves in, suddenly dealing with the rising tide of authoritarianism. And the answer is to light it up. We're talking today in this episode about the fire signs in the zodiac. And for those of you who don't know, the zodiac is divided into 4 elements, just like the tarot and reality. If you're Aristotle, for instance, the zodiac is divided into the fire signs: Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. The water signs: Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And air signs of Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. And the earth signs of Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Those are all your elements. And today, in our energetic reading, we're looking at the fire signs. And particularly going on in the zodiac these days, we have intense energies in the fire signs. So we'll talk about that today. Let's get into it. We're talking about the fire signs. I drew the wands. This is, I draw a card to decide what the show is going to be about today. And this is the card, the wands, Ace of Wands. And I decided to make it of the moment. What does this say about the moment? So I looked at the chart, our little astrology chart today, to look at what's going on in terms of wands, the fire signs. Today is all about the fire signs as they are occurring currently in the chart. All right, it's a fire sign chat with Nora Madonna today. So let's take a little bit of a look here at what's happening. And here we are, looking at the chart here. We have so much going on in fire signs lately, not much in our Sagittarius friend over here on the top. But we do have a ton going on in Aries, as we know. We have the Saturn transit into Aries and its conjunction with Neptune, which just moved into Aries. We have Venus sitting there in Aries, conjunct Chiron, causing all kinds of trouble. She's a troublemaker over there in Aries right now. Venus is dangerous when she's in Aries. She's seeking out her mate, her lover. She's like the black widow spider, wounded by her proximity to Chiron. She wants to bring somebody down. She's the femme fatale of the noir movie. She has a stiletto in her purse, the dagger to pierce the heart. Also in our fire signs over here in Leo, we have Mars, being his glorious Martian self, on display at the Colosseum, showing what a victorious conqueror he is in that second degree of Leo, which I believe is associated with the Six of Wands. Conquest and celebration and victory. That is what Mars is feeling right now there in its fiery element of Leo. Easily the most fundamentally important thing going on in the fire signs, or in the entirety of the chart at the moment, is that Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries. They have just moved in, so let's talk about that. Neptune and Saturn have just made their move into Aries. And Aries, being the first symbolic sign of the zodiac, means that they have begun a new process. They have started over in the cosmology of things. They are on a new timeline. They are opening up a new age of the Neptune and the Saturn revolutions through the cosmos. And we are now in a new beginning of things, a new beginning of the fire signs. And Neptune is that watery king of cups. Not necessarily, but he is of that watery nature, that Piscean nature, to envelop. It is that higher essence of thought, higher spirit, higher ideals that can also become confused with our own delusions of self. And here it is in the fire sign, burning away like natural gas, like an uncapped oil well set aflame, burning forward. All this energy of the higher self being released into the air, and it's there conjunct with Saturn, who's wishing to compress all this down, to make use of this energy, saying, how do I take all of this ignited gas of our ideal selves, of the Neptune energy, and how do I transmute this into some sort of motive capacity? What constrictions do I have to put around it? Like an engine, like a piston, like an internal combustion engine. How do I put constrictions upon all of this energetic forces that are now in Aries, and how do I use that and transmute it into forward momentum? That is the question on Saturn's mind right now. That is the question on everybody's mind. The King of Cups even, thinking about how to move forward, but utilizing the old lessons of his prior revolution through the zodiac as Neptune, his prior incarnation, his new incarnation, I suppose. He is sitting there in this realm of fire, this King of Cups. He's got a little bead of sweat on his forehead, trying to figure out how he can use this emotional strength and stability that he has garnered from his revolutions through the karmic wheel to become mastery of the self, to become the Stoic master of his own emotional state. And here in this world of flames, the Stoic master looks upon this devastation, this energetic presence of everything burning and wanting to move and wanting to renew in a certain way and individuate even. He's here trying to figure out how to move himself forward and out of this space into a new life. Joined by the Knight of Cups, trying to make this fire energy into something romantic. How do we transmute fire into romance, fire into water? How do we make these motive energies of our lives and digest them into something meaningful for ourselves, that we can use our emotional state to sort of propel ourselves? Because our emotional state here is sort of like a gasoline in the tank that we have garnered over our journey through our life to this point. We have filled our tank with these various emotions. We have understood them. We have distilled them. We have brought them into an alchemical process of being in a combustible state. And now they are in a combustible environment. And those emotions are now ready to ignite and propel us forward into a state of action. But we have to have a state of mastery as well, the Stoic state that allows us to hold on to the rocket ship without breaking down into fear. And then we move forward. The Knight moves forward. Knights are about action. Kings are about control, authority, majesty. They're holding it down. They're holding it down. They ain't afraid. They ain't afraid of the siege at the gates. I move the Ace of Wands out of the way because it's representing the query at hand. Look at this. Look at all these men in our lives right now. This King of Wands who comes along with his inflamed passions dangling out all over the place in his negative state. He's a bully. He's hot-headed. He's dangerous. He's been agitated to the point of getting up off his throne and saying he's raised his club, his fiery club, up over his head, and he is prepared to smash down upon this gasoline-ignited environment. There's a dominance of masculinity in this energy. That is for sure, as we are looking at the fire signs here. This is, after all, a reading about our fire sign energy in the chart at the moment. The energies of the moment. This is an energetic reading of where we are at this exact moment. In our society, in our time, in this age, in this peculiar intermediate age between the Piscean and the Aquarian. And here we are, looking at this male-dominated energy because it has come from its negative state, its state of agitation. Its state of agitation, its state of injustice, perceived injustice, that it's felt that it has come from some inequity that's been treated ill, and now its passions are inflamed in some negative way. And we see that the negative yang of our environment is quite predominant. We can see it in our podcasts, in our administration that's running our government at the moment. You can see it in the way that they have even had AI designed to stop any sort of research that even mentions the word female. It's a weird assault upon the feminine right now because there's so much masculine energy. And masculine energy is so domineering that it tends to result in a conquest of a kind or a diminishment of any other energy. So there is a great and powerful force of masculinity. And what is below this? What is underneath this experience? The sense of carrying of a burden that has to be carried. The burden of authority, the burden of masculinity, the burden of authority, the burden of having to order and ordain this world in the way that it sees fit. It's stuck in this stasis of the previous status quo, that it is the right of the masculine to define our reality in a lot of senses. It has this very Saturnian energy of saying that this is the constraints that we will all operate inside of. This is how we will behave. This is how we will all operate. And in order to do that, in order to function that, in order to carry the weight of that masculinity, it is a burden. Patriarchal values, as often said, is a burden to the masculine. Most of all, a burden to the masculine, because it is the masculine that must wear the mask of that patriarchy in order to survive inside of that patriarchy. It has to operate inside of these constraints that it itself has placed upon itself in order to have its own authority. It's like saying, I only have authority if you go sit in the corner and I wear this stone crown on my head. And it's like I'm putting the burden on myself and declaring my own conditions of my own authority. And they're difficult. They burden me most of all. And then you are then in a state of oppression in the corner, suffering from my heightened state of anxiety around my authority and holding on to my own sense of authority. It's a very dangerous state, especially when we are now having these emotional, gasoline-filled tanks in the fire signs, in this new energy of the fire sign, the ignition of Saturn wanting to click and ignite the passions of Neptune. Such a powder keg that we live in now. Let's gain some clarity on the resolution of all of this moving forward. More men. The burden is still on the masculine to right the ship. We tried to get the lady in. He didn't want the lady. We didn't get the lady. We had a choice between the lady and the man, and we went with the man. We didn't get the lady. Apparently we didn't want the lady. So the burden is still on the man. The burden is still on the masculine to create this resolution for himself. He must free himself from this situation. He must be cavalier, completely without constraint in a certain sense. The Knight of Wands does not constrain himself. He does not hold back. He's charging full steam forward where he's going. He is the most motive of all of them, of all of these knights, of all these men here. He's the most prepared to move forward with that fire energy. It's just like he's carrying the torch forward into the gas-filled chamber, and he knows that he's going to ignite it. He's the man who is about to light the petard at the castle gate. Petard is the powder keg that they used to send during a siege. There would be a man who carries a giant powder keg. Let's say you're assaulting a castle, okay? And there's a siege. The castle doors are closed. And the army is waiting outside of the castle gate, waiting to engage in battle. But the time is not opportune. There is a lone man who carries the powder keg, and he rushes up to the gate and lays the powder keg down and ignites it with his torch. And the term "hoisted by your own petard" refers to the man who misjudged his wick. He has lit the wick, and the wick went too fast, and the powder keg exploded, and he has been hoisted into the air. Adios. We'll remember you fondly, Sir Knight of Swords, Sir Knight of Wands. But the petard has been lit, nevertheless, and the explosive capacity has penetrated through the castle gate. But this man is no more. He did his deed. He rushed in. He did the job. Now the rest of us can come through. And after that comes I think of the Ace of Pentacles often as the planting of seeds. The planting of seeds. We release these things from our hands, these little seedlings. They go down into the earth, unseen, and then they must do the work of growing and sprouting, gaining nutrition, and coming into materialization, into the world. The seed itself is unseen. It's beneath the ground. It has not yet happened yet. And they must be released from the hand. They must be released. They come out of the flower. They are released from the flower. They are released from the fruit. Wherever they come from. They come out of the core of that and are lost from that essence, but then become a new essence in the ground itself. So that's the energy to come. It's a bit like the mother energy. It's a bit like the mother energy that is looking to nurture invisibly the child inside of the womb and allow it to come to fruition. A little clarity on what that means. Walking away from this powder keg that we have created and moving forward into some new guidance, some new direction, some new understanding of how we're supposed to get to the next place. Maybe we aren't the generation that sees the next place, but we are the ones who begin the walk. We are the ones that plant the seeds. We are the ones that begin the journey forward elsewhere. But we are not the ones that see the resolution of things as they are to come, the shape of the new world to come. Anyway, That's long enough. That's your reading for today. Bizarre energies going on. So many men all over the place doing their men thing. Look at all these men causing havoc. Boys will be boys. That's what they say. All right, that's the Nora Madonna show for today. Appreciate yourself. Appreciate the things in front of you. Appreciate life. Only comes around once, probably.